This is the Murli of the 10th of January 1988. The method for churning and the way to increase churning power. Today, the jewel merchant father has come to meet his invaluable jewels to see how many jewels of knowledge every elevated soul has accumulated. So, Baba gives us these jewels of knowledge which we have to accumulate, and he's checking how many joules of this knowledge we have accumulated. That is how many joules of knowledge you have instilled in your practical lives. Each and every joule of knowledge is more valuable than multi-millions. So just think how many joules of knowledge you've received from the beginning until now. The jewel merchant father has filled the apron of the intellect of every child with many jewels. He has given all the children jewels of knowledge equally and at the same time. However, the more you use these jewels of knowledge for yourself and for others, the more these jewels continue to increase. Bab Dada was saying that although the father has given equally to all the children, some children have increased their jewels, whereas others have not. Some are full and overflowing. Some have unlimited treasures. Some are using them appropriately according to the time. Some are using them for a task and are increasing them multi-million fold from one. Some are unable to use these jewels for a task as much as they should. This is why they are unable to understand the value of the jewels as much as they should. Yeah, because they are not able to use those jewels for the tasks that are needed. That's why they're not able to understand the value of the jewels as much. Your intellects have imbibed what you have received, but you're unable to experience the attainment of happiness, joy, power, peace, and a stage free from obstacles that you should have by using them. And what is Baba saying? Your intellects have imbibed what you received, yet not imbibed properly. If we had imbibed these jewels the way Baba would want us to, then we would be experiencing all of these wonderful things. But Baba is saying, but you are unable to experience the attainment of happiness, joy, power, peace, and a stage free from obstacles that you should have by using them. The reason for this is a lack of churning power, because to churn it means to put it into your life to imbibe it. Not to churn means that just your intellect imbibes it. The former use these for every task and in every action of their life, whether it is for the self or for others. Yeah, that is those who experience joy and happiness and power and peace. But the others who don't experience, Baba is saying, they simply remember these with their intellects, that is, they imbibe them. In other words, they have not become embodiment of these jewels of knowledge. For instance, when you keep a physical treasure in your safe or locker and don't use it at the appropriate time or all the time, you don't experience happiness, but you just have the reassurance in your heart that you have that treasure. Neither will it increase nor will you have an experience. In the same way, if your intellect has just imbibed the jewels of knowledge, if you just remember them and repeat them, saying that the point is very good, then for a short time you have good intoxication of that good point. You know what is Baba saying? If your intellect has just imbibed the jewels of knowledge, if you just remember them and repeat them, saying that the point is very good, then for a short time you have good intoxication of that good point. However, you have to put these jewels of knowledge into your practical lives and into every action, because knowledge is not only jewels, but knowledge is enlightenment and knowledge is also power. So if you don't use them with this method of practice, Neither do they increase, nor is there any experience. So, the experience of peace, happiness, all of those things will not happen. And these joules of knowledge will not increase either. Knowledge is a study, and it is also an elevated battle weapon. This is the value of knowledge. To, you, to know their value, that is, to know the value of the jewels of knowledge, means to use them for a task. And the more you use them for a task, the more you continue to experience power. For instance, when you don't use a weapon at the right time, then that weapon becomes useless. It gets rusty, right? That is, if that is, it no longer has that much value. Knowledge is also a weapon, but if at the time for becoming a conqueror of Maya, you don't use the weapon, you reduce its value because you didn't take its benefit. To take the benefit of something means to keep its value. You all have jewels of knowledge because you all have a right, but you're number wise in being full. You were told that the main reason is a lack of churning power. So, why do we not have all these jewels of knowledge? We have, but still we are not able to use them. Baba is saying you were told that the main reason is a lack of churning power. You understand what is churning power? Yeah, like the cows, they chew the cud. So, what Baba means by churning, the knowledge is that keep thinking about it, let it go on and on in your mind. What is Baba saying? Why is he saying it? Not questioning Baba, not doubting the knowledge, but trying to understand what is the significance behind all of these things. Yeah, so that is churning. Think of how you remember the cows. You've seen cows. They say that they have four stomachs. So after they have eaten the meal, they swallow the food, right? And then they regurgitate that food and then they keep chewing that. So you keep breaking it down to smaller pieces to exactly what Baba is wanting us to do. Yes, so churning power is the basis of experiencing the Father's treasures to be your own. When digested, physical food becomes blood because food is separate. When it is digested, it becomes your own in the form of blood. That's how it works, right? When we eat food, then through the intestines, through the stomach lining, it gets absorbed and it gets absorbed into the bloodstream and goes to the liver where it is transformed into proteins and lipids and carbohydrates and whatever else. And this is how the body gets built. It becomes stronger, the repair happens, and also it grows. So Baba is saying previously too, Bab Dada has been saying that only when you grind. No, one second, I think I have missed one sentence. In the same way with churning power, you experience the Father's treasures to be your own. You experience them as a right and as your treasure. Previously, too, Babdada has been saying that only when you grind your own ingredients will you feel that intoxication. Churning power means to go to the bottom of the ocean, to be introverted and go into the depth of every jewel of knowledge. You mustn't just repeat them, but ask yourself what is the significance of every point. That is the first thing. Second, at what time and with what method must you use every point? Fourth, with what method must you use every point for the service of others? So, four things Baba wants us to check. What is the significance of this point or every point? Second and third is at what time and with what method. So first is there are two things of this. At what time and with what method must you use every point? And the fourth is with what method must you use every point for the service of others? So listen to every point and think about these four things. Along with churning, also go into the sweetness of its significance, become lost in the experience of intoxication. Use these when the different obstacles from Maya occur or when you have different problems of nature. Ask yourself, according to the situation or according to the obstacle, whatever points you churned, will those jewels of knowledge make you, or can they make you a conqueror of Maya? Did that happen practically? That is, did you become a conqueror of Maya? Or is it that you thought that you would become a conqueror of Maya, but you had to labor instead, or your time was wasted? This proves that the method was not accurate, and that was why you didn't experience success. You also need the method and practice to use these things. Similarly, scientists create very powerful bombs. They believe that they will definitely be victorious with those. However, if the person using those bombs doesn't know how to use them, then even though they are powerful bombs, if they just fall here or there, they would be wasted. What was the reason? By saying the method of using them was not accurate. Yeah, they want the bombs to hit the target, otherwise, it will be a waste of money, waste of effort. So, Baba is saying, in the same way, every joule of knowledge is extremely valuable. Situations and obstacles cannot continue when you have the jewels of knowledge and the power of knowledge. However, if you don't experience victory, then you understand that you don't know the method to use them accurately. Secondly, by not constantly having the practice of churning, when you suddenly try to use them at a time of need, you are deceived. So, Baba wants us to practice when we are alone so that when the situation actually comes, we are able to use it effectively. So, you have the carelessness that you have the knowledge in your intellect anyway, and that you will use it at the right time. However, you need to practice constantly and practice over a long period of time. Otherwise, what title will those who just think about these things receive? A Kumbhakarna? What carelessness did he have? He only thought, let them come, and I will then be victorious. So the carelessness to think that it will happen when it is time deceives you. Yeah. So Baba is saying, therefore, continue to increase churning power every day.